Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get into, such as San Diego State men's basketball. I can't believe it. They are in the Final Four, just like everyone predicted. Yes, they took down the number 1 overall seed Alabama, and they took down Creighton as they got a little bit of payback from last year. Now they take on FAU as they'll look to punch their ticket into the national championship on Monday. Can they beat FAU on Saturday? And opening day was yesterday with the Dodgers, Angels, and Padres playing, and let's just say 1 out of the 3 passed with flying colors. While the other 2, well, there's still 161 games remaining, but let's just say one team of those 2 is basically going to have a good season. And the Lakers are still trying to push their way into the playoffs, but time is starting to run out. And the Clippers are doing decent, despite not having Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And USC lands Deuce Robinson out of Arizona. How big is that? And honestly, LAFC is doing great guns, while LA Galaxy, they are still in search of that first win. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 129 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, before we start, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be anything without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow iSports Radio on several different social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at iSports Radio. And then we also have Facebook at iSports Radio. You just got to type in the word IE, then sports, then radio in the search bar. Like us, and then follow us on Facebook, and then that's how you're able to follow us. We also have a website, www.iesportsradio.com, and once you go there, you will see a Patreon link at the top, and once you click it, you will see a Patreon link, and once you click that and you start donating, donations will start out at $5 a month once you choose to start donating, if you choose to do so. This will get you a shout out from all of our shows, including this one, all 27 of them, to be exact. And higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to ISRU, the podcasting university of IE Sports Radio, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. Because for the past 8 years, going on 9 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities, dedicated all around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans and for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next biggest step. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised Apparel, Key to the Gate, and a donor that wishes to remain anonymous. And coming soon will be the 3rd annual IE Sports Radio NFL Draft Prediction Challenge, hosted by Mike Pat, where basically you have to predict all of the draft picks, NFL draft picks in this year's draft to the best of your ability. all 31 of them to the best of your ability. And it's simple. You basically just predict them, and then the person who basically has the most accurate draft prediction will basically win and get shout-outs from all of our shows and more IE Sports Radio apparel. So that's basically the gist of it. We'll have more information as the NFL draft gets near, but that's not for another few more weeks, and that's not for until April. We're still in March. So let's get started on the SoCal sports stuff. So we'll start off with NCAA men's basketball, and I was such a pessimist last week when it came to San Diego State men's basketball, as I was basically saying, well, San Diego State has the tall task of facing Alabama, the number 1 overall seed. They're going to have to play some perfect basketball in order to win, blah, 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 blah. Well, San Diego State pretty much did that. I didn't really get a chance to see the entirety of the game, but San Diego State, oh my goodness, they played their best basketball and then some, as they really brought out all the stops in this game, and I could not have been more proud of them. They took down Alabama. They led 28-23 at halftime, and despite all of Alabama's best efforts, and despite Alabama getting the game close late in the game, San Diego State held them off, and they took down Alabama 71-64, as Darian Trammell, expect to hear that name quite a bit, he led the way with 21 points, which is good. He was the only starter in double digits, as also in double digits for the Aztecs, Jadon Lee was in double digits for San Diego State, as he had 12 points off the bench. But that was pretty much it for San Diego State, as before I continue, Adam Karnick popped in the chat room. He says, "Good afternoon, Teran." He says, Adam Karnick also says, the Aztecs were the one Fibble Final Four team I got right. Well, that's good. So, congrats for getting that Fibble Final Four team right. So, good job to you on getting that right, and hats off to you on getting that right. So San Diego State took down Alabama last Friday, but it didn't end there. So, on Sunday, San Diego State played Creighton, and I want to say they played last year and lost by 3 in overtime. This time, they played another down-to-the-wire game, and boy howdy, it was quite the barn burner. So San Diego State was actually down 33-28. It was quite the defensive battle between these two teams, and I was thinking, well, San Diego State just needs to make the defensive adjustments, and they'll come out on top. But for Creighton, they kind of, and this is no knock on Creighton, I know ticky-tack fouls can sometimes get away from, like, the referees and whatnot. They're kind of getting away with a little pushing and shoving and a little contact. They're kind of getting away with it for the most part of the game. But to the credit of San Diego State, they were doing all that they can to basically, find ways to claw and take the lead. And eventually they did that in the second half. And San Diego State, they were finding ways to take the lead and try to stave off Creighton. But it seemed like Creighton had an answer for San Diego State every single time. And neither team just could not really find ways to score at will, especially on the three-point baskets. Primarily Creighton, where Creighton just did not have the greatest game from downtown. But San Diego State did lead late in the game, but to the credit of Creighton, they are one of the better Big East teams, and they are a very underrated non-Power 5 conference team. They really came alive late, and they actually did steal they did force a turnover, and they were down 2 late, and then they eventually tied it up. And then San Diego State had the possession. They had one last chance to basically take the lead and win the game. And then Trammell actually got fouled. And this was the crazy thing. There was clearly lots of contact. Many people are whining and complaining, saying that was not a foul. It was a clear foul. It's like the Creighton defender was right behind him. He had his arm on his hip or his back. And it's a clear foul, so of course it's going to be a foul, and of course it's going to get called. And Trammell goes to the line, and it's a shooting foul, and Darian Trammell goes to the line for 2 free throws. He misses the first, and I'm just like, oh no, Trammell, you can't do this to us. You can't do this to San Diego. The city of San Diego is behind you, my man. Please sink the second free throw. And he was able to sink the second free throw, and then Creighton's not able to get a shot off, and that's the game right there for San Diego State, and they win the game 57-56. And despite a near disaster, the Aztecs punched their ticket to the Final Four as they were led by Lamont Butler, who had 18 points, which was fantabulistic. And funny thing was that Creighton had no players off the bench score. All their players that scored were their starters, which is quite interesting if you ask me. But Trammell had 12 points, while Butler finished up with 18 points. Neither team did not really shoot the ball well. Like I said, Creighton finished shooting 40% from the field, while San Diego State shot 37, pretty much 38% from the field. Both teams combined to shoot make 5 3-pointers, which is kind of funny. They both combined for 5 for 30 from downtown, as this is probably the most mind-blowing stat that everyone will probably ever see, which, oh boy. And I did not know this statistic up until now. So San Diego State is holding their opponents to 16 for 94 from three-point land. I did not know this, but San Diego State is doing a darn good job of defending the three-point land. So that is kind of their calling. Now, I'm not sure if they're defending the three-point range really well or if their opponents are just not good at three-point shooting, but that's pretty darn impressive if you ask me. Now, Creighton obviously only made 2 three-pointers, which does not help the cause, but it does prove that San Diego State's defense is for real. And they held Creighton only 56 points, which is darn impressive if you ask me. And they didn't let, Alabama go off too much. They only held them to 64, which isn't bad. They held Charleston to 57, which isn't overly bad. And they held Furman to 52 after they pulled off that big upset against Virginia. But then again, it's Virginia, and they kind of collapse in the NCAA tournament every year. So what can you do? Anyway, so who would have guessed that San Diego State would go further in the NCAA tournament than UCLA? Not me. So I knew San Diego State. Everyone knew San Diego State was going to go farther, considering they lasted a day longer than the Bruins. But to go a round, let alone 2 rounds further than the Bruins, is beyond me. So hats off to the Aztecs for basically being the biggest bright spot in Southern California Division I men's, let alone college basketball, as they're now 2 wins away from their first ever national championship in men's basketball. So it's quite incredible if you ask me. So next up for San Diego State, they have FAU, which they have kind of been, I wouldn't say Cinderella, but I think FAU has been very much under the radar. I think they're much better than what the seeding gave them. They were the 9 seed, but they're much better than the 9 seed. I think the committee screwed them. I think they should be maybe a 6, if not a 5 seed of their own. As apparently San Diego State is a 2.5 point favorite. Well, that's kind of concerning if you ask me, because the FAU is 35-3, while San Diego State is 31-6. The key for San Diego State is they're going to have to play some really good defense. That's kind of been their calling. Got to lock off the 3-point line. You got to play scrappy defense, and you got to make Florida Atlantic work for those points. Make sure that those boys do not get hot from the 3-point line. Limit their 3-point range. Obviously, Florida Atlantic is not going to have a New Mexico State women's basketball WCBI or WBI night from this year. Basically, they're not going to go the entire game until the last 100 seconds where they start making threes. either way, San Diego State really has to defend the perimeter against FAU. Like, FAU and San Diego State have one thing in common. They didn't get this far just by BSing their way. They both knocked off number 1 seeds, and they both have pretty much scrapped their way behind really good opponents. FAU has also kind of pulled off some good wins this tournament. They beat Kansas State in the Elite 8. They beat Tennessee in the Sweet 16. So for FAU, they deserve lots of credit to getting this far as well. But for San Diego State, I really want them to win the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen SoCal win an NCAA men's basketball championship, and I really want them to. I really think that San Diego State has what it takes, but it's going to take a big-time effort defensively, and the offense needs to start clicking. Like, they really can't afford to fall too far behind FAU, because they can get away with falling behind in, like, the early stages of a game, but if they fall behind and they still stay behind against a team like FAU, they're going to pay for it, just because FAU is proving why they got this far, and those boys can shoot the ball really well. So I'm hoping San Diego State does bring their A game, and they got to bring their best defensively. And I just want to see San Diego State get at least to the national championship. I mean, they've gotten this far already. Like, why not them? And people will be counting out San Diego State just because they're the SoCal school, and people are going to want to see Miami or FAU. Well, I'll say this. Why not San Diego State? Because you got to remember, 2 seasons ago, I want to say back in 2020, they were 30-2, and they were on their way to being the 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. But unfortunately, COVID-19 pretty much canceled their season and their chances of possibly making a whole lot of noise in the NCAA tournament, which, if that were the case, I would have loved to see what would have happened with San Diego State. But now they're 2 wins away from possibly winning the whole thing, and we haven't really seen a whole lot of NCAA championships at San Diego State. I think they only have 2, if I recall correctly, if not 1. I know they won one in men's volleyball back in, I want to say, like the 70s, back when they still had a men's volleyball program. They disbanded it, unfortunately, which was very sad. You know, San Diego State messed up when they disbanded the only team that brought home their only national championship. But I digress. That's for set point. Anyway, so for San Diego State, they got to play good, really good defensively. If they do that, then they'll be playing on Monday. If they don't do that, then heaven knows. They're going to have to play really good offensively, but I think they got that dog in them. So we'll see what happens. The other semifinal is UConn and Miami, but we'll see what happens with the Aztecs and the Owls. That game will start at 3:09 p.m. Pacific time. It'll be on CBS, and I'm so excited for this. I really want to see the Aztecs come up big, and I guess ESPN is giving San Diego State a 57.7% chance of winning, which, again, I'm hoping that San Diego State's defense comes through. I mean, San Diego State does have the defense, but do they have the offense to back it up? But time will tell. We'll have to see. We'll just have to see when it comes to the Aztecs. But I'm really confident in San Diego State. The entire region of SoCal is behind you, Aztecs. We've got your back. And I really think the entirety of SoCal should root for San Diego State. I mean, San Diego entirely has just been cursed just because they can't seem to win a whole lot. I mean, look at what happened with the Chargers and the Padres and whatnot. But I digress. Anyway, so that's that for San Diego State men's hoops. Jumping on over to UCLA women's hoops. I don't really have much to say when it comes to UCLA women's hoops. I don't have much to say personally. It was a game. Okay, I'll just say this. UCLA tried in the first half. Okay, that's not really... That's not the thing I should say. UCLA gave it all that they could against South Carolina. They were on the road. They were facing the number 1 overall seed, which was undefeated at the time. But unfortunately, UCLA just could not handle the big boss as UCLA fell to South Carolina 59-43. The Bruins were led by Charisma Osborne, who finished up what should be her last game, unless she wants to use her COVID year as a Bruin, as she had 14 points. She finished up with 7 rebounds. She was the only player in double digits for UCLA, as South Carolina had 2 players off the bench in double digits, and they had one starter finish in double digits, as they held UCLA to only less than 30% shooting from the field, and they only held them to less than 3. They held them to only 3 3-pointers made, and I kind of figured this was going to be the result. I mean, UCLA was gonna have to play some really good basketball if they wanted to beat South Carolina. I mean, the final score doesn't really dictate how UCLA really tried in this game. They really gave them all that they could handle, especially with all the circumstances. And again, it was as close. They gave them all that they can handle. But the third quarter is kind of where basically it was basically where South Carolina pulled away. And South Carolina is just too big. And their ball handlers were just too much for UCLA. And UCLA is just so young. So, unfortunately for the Bruins, their season comes to an end. They finish up 27-10. Excuse me for a second. Sorry about that. Still trying to get over the final aftermath effects of a cold, but I'm getting there. Anyway, but for UCLA, they finish up 27-10. But for the Bruins, I want to say they are back. I think they are getting close to being back. If not, they are back. I think this is the beginning of something special for the Lady Bruins, and I really think that the Bruins are going to be they're going to be back. And honestly, this is probably just the beginning for the Bruins and for USC. I know using the Bruins and the Trojans in the same sentence is kind of illegal in that rivalry sense, but honestly, I think for the women of Troy and for the Bruins, they've got something special going on. But back to UCLA, for them to get to the Sweet 16, it's quite impressive. I mean, they've had their ebbs and flows in terms of like close losses and their heartbreaking losses. But for UCLA, they really closed out strong. They fell short to Washington State in the Pac-12 championship. They were able to beat a tough Oklahoma team in the round of 32. And they gave South Carolina all they could handle. I should also make note that UCLA defeated Stanford in the Pac-12 tournament semifinals after losing to Stanford the past 2 times in close fashion. So for UCLA, they are starting to be on the come up, and I would not be surprised if UCLA made noise come next season. So for the Lady Bruins, keep your head up. I really think that you have a lot of potential next season. And for the Pac-12, you better watch out for UCLA. And don't sleep on USC either. Do not sleep on the women of Troy either, especially when Juju Watkins comes. So there's that for UCLA. And the only team playing in Southern California in terms of college hoops is San Diego State men's hoops. So basically next week I will be basically recapping if either San Diego State either wins the national championship, loses in the national championship, or loses in the Final Four. But regardless, San Diego State is making Southern California super proud when it comes to it's it representing the Final Four. So, like, again, everyone predicted UCLA to be in this situation. Like, San Diego State is what everyone thought UCLA was going to be. But unfortunately, UCLA got tripped up against Gonzaga, who got tripped up against UConn. So, there's that for college hoops, and yeah, that's that right there. All right, so jumping to the MLB. So yesterday was opening day, and of the three SoCal teams being the Padres, Dodgers, and Angels, only one fared victorious, and that was the Dodgers, which is kind of surprising, kind of not surprising, as Larry B pops in the chat room. He says UCLA got smacked. No, UCLA won. I was just kidding when I said UCLA lost to South Carolina. Of course they got smacked. What did you expect against the undefeated team? Facing an undefeated team. But UCLA's future looks bright. Like, UCLA's future is looking really, really, really good. But over to MLB action. So let's go to the good and then work our way to the ugly. So the Dodgers. No ultimate surprise. They started off really slow. They were down 2-0 through the first two innings, and then they finally shook off the rust and decided to actually play baseball. They tied it up in the bottom of the third inning, and then the fifth inning they decided, let's actually play baseball. They got 3 runs, and then they decided to expose the Diamondbacks for I wouldn't say the frauds they are, but they decided to pull the sheet off the ghosts or the true contenders that the Diamondbacks weren't, as the Dodgers basically beat the Diamondbacks 8-2, it's basically how the Dodgers won. They basically, after that fifth inning, they piled it on in the sixth inning, and then they added one little insurance run just for keeps in the eighth inning, and Julio Urias basically got the win. And honestly, I knew the Dodgers would win. Like, they were not going to struggle against the Diamondbacks. Like, if they struggle against the Diamondbacks, then this is going to be one long series, let alone one long season. As the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks are back in action tonight. And then they're back on Saturday and Sunday as well. After that series, the Dodgers play the Colorado Rockies at the Chavez Ravine on Monday and on Tuesday. Then they get a nice 2-day break, and then they play the Diamondbacks on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week. And then it's going to be at Arizona, so we'll see what the Dodgers can do. It's a long season, so for those that have the Dodgers pinned at going 162-0, don't be so sure just because, remember, the Dodgers still have Dustin May out, so that hurts. But hopefully we will see the Dodgers basically do something. I hope they could do something good this season. I'm not overly confident in them. I hope they can do something big, but we'll see. And Larry B, let's get to the Angels just because Larry B is alluding it into the live chat room on Spreaker. He says, the Angels are garbage, and no wonder Ohtani wants to leave, and the Angels are stacked, and they still lost. Well, Shohei Ohtani did get the start on opening day, and he struck out 10, and the dude was lights out for 6 innings, and unfortunately, the poor dude just could not get the run support from the Angels, and the poor dude just could not get the bullpen support from the Angels, and eventually, they lost to the Oakland A's in Oakland. I'm surprised they're still there. 2-1. It's like I said this yesterday on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show account. The Angels are picking up where they left off last year. Get a nice slim run lead. They're doing good throughout a good portion of the game. The other team comes back and then the other team wins, just because the Angels can't build a big enough lead to basically have their bullpen protect the lead, and then the bullpen collapses the game, game over. The Angels in a nutshell right there, ladies and gentlemen. And it's sad because Shohei Ohtani struck out 10 batters, and he had such a great outing in 6 innings. It's very frustrating. I'm honestly sick to my stomach looking at that. It's like, how do you lose like that in that fashion? I understand it's on the road, except I don't understand. It's like you're playing the Oakland A's, but what do I know? It's the Oakland A's. It's just irritating if you ask me. Anyway, the two teams are back at it not tonight. They're actually back on Saturday and Sunday as the Angels, after the series, following Sunday, they have to travel to Seattle to take on the Mariners on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Then they get Thursday off, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they finally, hence the word finally, get to play at Angel Stadium when they play the Toronto Blue Jays. But heaven knows how they'll do against them. This is kind of going to be this could be a long season for the Angels. I don't want to be pessimistic about them, but it's like, this could be like last year. I mean, last year was promising for them. It started off being somewhat promising, and then they had that super long losing streak where they just couldn't win to save their lives, and then that eventually just doomed them, and they basically were toast, burnt to a crisp. And it's sad because they're so stacked, but their problem is their bullpen. It just still remains to be their problem, and the fact that Shohei Ohtani just continues to put up great numbers, but the Angels just can't seem to give him support, it's just disappointing. Story of the Angels' lives. Alright, and then the last one is basically the San Diego Padres. They lost to the Colorado Rockies 7-2. Now, I don't know much about the Rockies, but it was to the point... Now, San Diego did actually lead in this game. They actually led 2-1 through 4 innings. And I didn't really get a chance to see this all that much, but I do know this. Fernando Tatis Jr. is still out. I still want to say that he's still serving that suspension, but you still also got to remember this. San Diego has Xander Bogaerts. They did sign him. They have Juan Soto. They have Manny Machado. And then they also have Matt Carpenter. So I don't want to hear a whole lot of... Oh yeah, and they also have Andrew Ostanola. So I don't really want to see a whole lot of excuses from the Padres. Now, I'll give the Padres this. Once they get Fernando Tatis Jr. back from his suspension and whatnot, I don't want to hear the excuses from the Padres. They better be really good. That could be the team to beat once they're at full strength. Because, man, that's going to be a really good team, especially with Tatis Jr. Their only problem is that I think pitching kind of let them down. Because they had Blake Snell starting, and unfortunately, the dude just kind of was a letdown, as he gave up 3 earned runs. He struck out 9, which was awesome, but he also gave up 6 hits, and he gave up 1 walk in 4 and 1 innings pitched. So it's tough for Blake Snell. I guess I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. This might have been his first game as a Padre, but it's like, you get 1 pass. You better not mess up this whole thing again. So screw up a few more times, and I'm not going to go easy on you. I just accidentally hit my mic. Anyway, So for the Padres, they are off today, and they are back at it on Saturday and Sunday when they take on they are back tonight as they play the Rockies at 6:40 p.m. And then they're back on Saturday and Sunday. Monday and Tuesday they've got the Diamondbacks, and then Wednesday they have the day off. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week, they play at the Atlanta Braves. That Sunday game is actually a special game because they're actually playing on Sunday Night Baseball. And they actually are, I want to say they're the second team that's going to be playing on Sunday Night Baseball, which I think that's pretty cool if you ask me. So hopefully the San Diego Padres don't poo-poo the bed on national TV. I think it's pretty cool that they and the Braves are going to be playing on Sunday Night Baseball. So hopefully I will be able to watch that game. Oh wait, that's on the 9th. No, I won't actually. I'm sorry. I'll be out of town that day doing other things. You probably know this just because I announced this a whole lot, but I digress. Anyway, that is going to do it for the MLB. I guess I'll just make note of this regarding the Padres. That Braves series is going to start a pretty early gauntlet, as after that Braves series, they've got the Mets in a 3-game series. Then the Brewers could prove to be a little bit of a problem. Then they've got the Braves again. Then it starts to calm down when they play the Diamondbacks and then the Cubs. And then they've got the Mexico City series against the Giants to end off the month of April. So we'll see what happens with the Padres, but for right now, it's still a long season. The Padres, once they get Fernando Tatis Jr. back, they should be in good shape. They have a good roster on paper. However, it's like they just can't like botch a whole bunch of these games at full strength. Like, maybe this is Colorado being actually good, and maybe this could also be Blake Snell having the first day jitters as a Padre, but it's like, who knows? We'll see what happens. There's still 161 games remaining, so we'll see. Alright, so that's that for the MLB portion of the show. Let's jump on into some NBA action with the Lakers and the Clippers. So, the Lakers are still in that little playoff push. They did get LeBron James back, as this was announced on Sunday, where they took on the Chicago Bulls. But let's jump on back to last Friday, where we left off. So last Friday, they took on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and surprisingly, they actually won that game, 116-111. And that made me happy, because that was a big win. And you want to know what also made me happy? And this really, really, really made my day. And this actually comes courtesy of ESPN LA. And I'm actually going to give ESPN LA the Big W award. And honestly, it really just made my day. And I'm really trying to find this really, really good act of kindness that ESPN LA just did. And I really don't want to like butcher this this little Big W award moment, but let's just say it doesn't cost a whole lot of money. It doesn't cost a penny to be a good person, but someone from ESPN LA or someone, I don't know who it was, this person named Joseph, I guess his TikTok is MD Motivator, but this person named Joseph, he did a random act of kindness to a father, I guess a single parent who's raising his kid. He actually, first and foremost, he actually gave him $1,000. So that's really cool right there, and it was really nice. And oh man, I'm actually getting sappy and emotional looking at this. Damn it, man! No, I can't be crying on air, man. The big thing about this is that the father and his kid is actually living out of their van, and honestly, it's sad. When I saw this, it's like, damn, dude, That's actually quite sad. And the dude giving him the $1,000 really made the father and the kids' day. So, honestly, the dude giving him that money just made his day. It made the father and the kids' day. And honestly, seeing them light their day up just really made their day. And in addition, that wasn't the only thing that happened. They not only did they get the $1,000, the representative Joseph also took the father and the son to the Laker game in a Lamborghini. So that was also awesome right there, as he also gave him a LeBron James jersey, and I guess the son also got to meet players from the Lakers, which was absolutely amazing. And honestly, he also got to meet LeBron James as well, and that's just outstanding. So I'm sorry if I'm getting emotional. You probably could tell from my voice. I'm trying not to cry on live on iSports Radio, but it was just a great moment when I first saw this. So it just is a great moment right there. So to this guy Joseph on ESPN LA, who did this random act of kindness, and I guess to the entire ESPN LA, you get the Big W award from the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, just because that's just an amazing act of kindness right there. Right, so somebody's chopping onions right now. So, all right. Anyway, calm down, Teran. Get your emotions together. Anyway, so Lakers Thunder game. Lakers won that game 116-111, as Anthony Davis had himself a monster game, as he had 37 points, and the dude had 15 rebounds, which was outstanding. And boy howdy, man, that was amazing. And also Dennis Schroeder chipped in 21 points. Austin Reeves had 11 points, 6 boards, and 9 assists. So, and also Lonnie Walker chipped in 20 points off the bench. And Malik Beasley also had 10 points off the bench. So it's a very good win for the Lakers, just because, A, Lakers need that win to stay in the play-in hunt, let alone the playoff hunt, and B, OKC is right on the Lakers' coattails. So that was a great win for the Lakers right there. They even got better news when they heard that LeBron was actually ruled from out to doubtful, and then he was ruled from doubtful to a true game time decision, and then he was ruled from true game time decision to available to come off the bench, and then he came off the bench against the Chicago Bulls at Staples Center, and honestly, having him back was kind of cool if you ask me. And they took on the Chicago Bulls, who, like the Lakers, are also fighting for their playoff lives. Unfortunately for the Lakers, LeBron's return kind of got spoiled by the Bulls at Staples Center, as the Bulls beat the Lakers 118-108, which did not sit well with me, as LeBron actually led the team with 19 points. You know the Lakers were not good when LeBron led them off the bench with 19 points. So I'm glad that father-son got to witness the Lakers winning, as opposed to this game where the Lakers looked like complete donkey-doo against the Bulls. The Bulls literally looked like the 96 Bulls in this game. They could not miss from the field, and it was completely sickening. They shot 54% from the field, and they shot 45% from downtown. Absolutely atrocious from the Lakers. And that final score does not really dictate on how much of a blowout this was. The Bulls were actually up by as many as 21 against the Lakers. Sickening. Disgusting. Zach LaVine had 32 points. I am not impressed. And heck, even Pat Beverly got into double digits for the Bulls. I am not impressed one bit by the Lakers. I was just disgusted. It was so bad that Pat Beverly did the whole too small celebration in front of LeBron. It's like, it was bad. It was that bad for the Lakers on Sunday. Anyway, for the starters, Troy Brown led the way for the Lakers in terms of the starters with 18 points. Dennis Schroeder had 17 points. Anthony Davis, after that monster game on Friday, came back to earth with 15 points and 9 rebounds. Austin Reeves had 13 points. Malik Beasley had 18 points. So, yeah, if it wasn't for San Diego State men's basketball winning on Sunday, I would not have been a happy SoCal guy. The good news is for the Lakers is that they got a little revenge against the Bulls as they took them down on Wednesday, 121-110, as Anthony Davis reestablished his monster game powers as he had 38 points and 9 rebounds, which was very good. LeBron James got worked back into the lineup as he had 25 points. Austin Reeves had 19 points. D'Angelo Russell came back into the lineup, which was big time right there. He had 17 points, made a couple of threes. Lakers shot 52% and held the Bulls to 51%. But at least the Bulls only was held to 27% from downtown, while the Lakers shot 35% from downtown, though the Lakers made 2 less threes than the Bulls. But regardless, it was still a good win for the Lakers, as the Lakers are still trying to flounder their way into the postseason. Currently, the Lakers are 9th in the play-in game, as unfortunately the Pelicans held on. I say unfortunately just because that loss would have kind of done wonders for the Lakers, but unfortunately the Nuggets just did not want to win yesterday, which again would have done the Lakers wonders. But it is what it is. So tonight for the Lakers, they have the biggest game of their lives as they travel to the Great Lakes of Minneapolis to take on Minnesota. Huge game right there just because, well, Minnesota is just ahead of the Lakers in the Western Conference standings. If the Lakers win that one, that is huge for them. If they gotta win that one, especially since they only have 6 games remaining. If they win that game, then that could be so critical right there. That could make or break their playoff chances. Sunday, the Lakers have the Houston Rockets at Houston. And then they've also got the Utah Jazz on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, this is the biggest game. This is also another big game right here. Lakers have the Clippers. Now, the Clippers, I don't know what's going to happen with them regarding Kawhi Leonard, but I'm certain Paul George is probably going to be out the remainder of the regular season. I'm not sure about the whole postseason, but the regular season, it looks like Paul George is out for, just because he's going to have to get reevaluated in about a week or 2. So I'm certain he's going to be out for that timetable. So we don't know what's going to be Paul George's time frame, but we'll see. And then next Friday, the Lakers have the Phoenix Suns. Now, a couple weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, the Lakers beat the Phoenix Suns, if not last week. The Lakers did not get to play KD or Kevin Durant. This time around, I'm certain the Suns will get to play all those big superstars on the Suns, like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and all those guys. So I'm certain the Suns are not going to be holding anything back. But knowing the Suns, they may want to rest some guys before playoff time. Though they aren't really locked into a possible chance of making the playoffs. But we'll see. They should make the playoffs, but they aren't locked into the 4 seed or the top 6. But so they could slip all the way into the play-in round. And then on the 9th, the Lakers close out the season at home against the Utah Jazz. So, I mean, they're at the Clippers, which is still at the Crypto.com arena. So technically the Lakers only have 3 road games remaining, aka 3 games on the road before their last 3 games are in LA. So if you catch my drift. So it's crunch time for the Lakers, as this last week is basically going to be a crucial week. And I guess I'm just going to say this right now. I won't be on next week because next week I'm going to be out of town and I've got important business to attend to. So no SoCal next week, but I will say next week is a crucial week for the Lakers. So we'll see what happens. And then as for the Clippers, they're actually doing better than I expected. So life without Paul George is starting to really hurt them, but it's actually getting better than I expected. So on Saturday, they actually got trounced by the New Orleans Pelicans 131-110. So the loss isn't what's bad. What was bad was losing Kawhi Leonard. So apparently he got hit in the face by, I think, Brandon Ingram, the former Laker. Now, at first it was basically Tyronn Lue taking a precaution of not wanting to return Kawhi Leonard into the game. However, it's being said that Kawhi Leonard is out for a few games, as now it's looking like the Kawhi Leonard could basically be out for a good amount of time just because of a facial injury, which is not good. Oh, and if Kawhi Leonard's out then for a good amount of time, then actually no, he's not out. So Kawhi Leonard is not out, and that hit to the face was probably nothing more than just like a little like scratch to the face or something along those lines. So I think that hit to the face was probably just a precaution. So if anything, I think the Lakers or the Clippers just took that as a precaution to basically just not like run the risk of him getting him hurt even more, or just like getting him like even more basically, ran the risk of not like making that face injury even worse. So that was how the Clippers basically lost that game. But on Monday, the Clippers took down the Chicago Bulls 124-112. Maybe the Lakers wore down the Bulls or gave them a big head. Also, against the Clippers, this was kind of the funniest thing. So Russell Westbrook rocked the baby after he scored on Patrick Beverley, and he rocked the baby in front of a Clippers fan who also rocked the baby, and that was the best thing ever. So good job to Russell Westbrook after he rocked the baby, and good on him for scoring on Pat Beverley. So I swear, Pat Beverley, I liked him when he was on the Lakers and the Clippers, but now he's now public enemy number one. But more on him a little bit later. But good job, Russell Westbrook, on scoring on Pat Beverley and just rocking the baby. Nick Batum led the Clippers with 24 points. He actually had 8 3-pointers in that game, which, God, 8 3-pointers. That Nick Batum is so underrated. The Clippers got a steal with Nick Batum, so hats off to the Clips for keeping Nick Batum and having Nick Batum. And then against the Grizzlies, I told y'all last week that this was going to be a big test for the Clippers, considering they were not going to have Paul George, and this Wednesday game, this was the game that they did not have Kawhi Leonard, and he was out for personal reasons. And the deck was stacked against the Clippers, especially since Ja Morant came back. However, of all people that stepped up, Russell Westbrook actually stepped up, and the Clippers won 141-132. And despite 36 points from Ja Morant, Russell Westbrook scored 36 points of his own, and the Clippers managed to pull off that big win on the road. Oh, and they also got 37 points from Robert Covington, which, man, that's huge right there. And they got 20 points from Bones Highland. So that Bones Highland trade was kind of beneficial. And they got 13 points from Norman Powell, the former UCLA player. And they got 14 points from Eric Gordon as well. So, man, Clippers could not have asked for a bigger win than that, as they got the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So with Kawhi Leonard back in the lineup for the Clippers, that should be a better... Well, we'll see. If Kawhi Leonard is back from his personal reasons, if not, maybe his load management. I don't know if it was load management, but I imagine it was just personal reasons. It said personal reasons according to the press release. Heaven knows the Clippers might actually have a good shot at beating the Grizzlies, but if the Clippers don't have to, or if the Clippers don't have Kawhi Leonard, then it's just going to have to be everyone else stepping up. Strength in numbers for the Clippers. And then on Saturday, it's the second of a back-to-back. So I imagine if the Kawhi plays tonight, then he's probably going to rest the second night just because load management and back-to-back. I imagine if the Clippers do play the Pelicans, that's going to also be a big game, especially for the Pelicans. I imagine Laker fans might actually want to cheer for the might cheer for the Clippers that night. Speaking of Lakers and Clippers, like I said, the Lakers play the Clippers on Wednesday. Huge game for the Lakers. They have to come up big. And then on Saturday, the Clippers play the Trailblazers, who I imagine are on the doorsteps of getting eliminated from playoff contention. And then the Clippers close out the regular season in Phoenix against the Suns. Now that actually has some playoff implications just because the Clippers are right on the coattails of the Suns, and that could be an early first round playoff matchup as the Suns and the Clippers, if the playoffs started today, the Clippers would be on the road against the Phoenix Suns. So we'll see what happens with the Suns and the Clippers in that last day of the regular season. I imagine the Suns could be at full strength, but heaven knows. And that could be the Chris Paul revenge game. But we'll see what happens with the Suns and the Clippers. But for right now, Clippers got to focus on the Grizzlies and then the Pelicans. Like, that's a tough 2-game swing. So I do imagine if Kawhi plays tonight, he doesn't play tomorrow. But if he doesn't play tonight, then he could play tomorrow. But we'll see what happens when it comes to his personal stuff. But I really do want the Clippers to beat the Pelicans on Saturday. But time will tell. Anyway, so that's going to do it for the Clippers and the Lakers. Let's take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some MLS, some NHL, and some... MLS, NHL, and some NCAA football happening right now. And then we've got some Dum Dum of the Week to give out. Don't go anywhere. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And we've got some NWSL happening. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pop culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Everybody, this is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome back to the second half of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely do check out all of our amazing shows, such as Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat, which will be coming on later tonight. The the Sports Couple Perspective with Larry B and Cecilia B, which will be coming on later tonight. The Buffalo Huddle with Patty B, which will be coming on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And also definitely check out my second show, Set Point, which comes on every week. It primarily comes on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. But this Monday, it's probably going to come on at 11:15 a.m. Pacific Time, just because I have a guest. I do want to reiterate that I will not be on SoCal Supreme Sports Show next week, just because I guess I should explain why. I will be at Long Beach City College for the debut of the 2023 NVA season. Not NBA, NVA, National Volleyball Association. So I won't be on SoCal Supreme Sports Show next week. I'm sorry to disappoint everybody. I will be on the following week if nothing gets in the way. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to try not to let a whole lot trip up SoCal Supreme Sports Show, but time will tell. Anyway, let's get on into the second half of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Anyway, so jumping on into some MLS action. So the Galaxy are still winless, while LAFC are still undefeated in the MLS. Let's get on into the Galaxy as... What are we going to do about the Galaxy? So, last Saturday, they actually tied with the Portland Timbers 0-0. It was a scoreless tie. I did hear that one of their starting goalies, I forgot his last name. It was like Klinsmann. Jonathan Klinsmann. Yes, Jonathan Klinsmann. He actually got hurt. So... He actually got hurt, and the LA Galaxy are actually going to be in the market for shopping for a goalie. If not, they're going to have to work with Novak Mikovic, Jonathan Bond, or Aaron Cervantes. Funny thing is that I actually have a friend named Aaron Cervantes. Wonder if... No, he's not the same Aaron Cervantes. He's the same age as me. Anyway, Mike Pat pops in the chat room. He says, can't listen while at work, but go STSU. Thanks for popping into the chat room, Mike. Anyway, so he's probably referring to San Diego State men's basketball. But anyway, yeah, Galaxy tied Portland 0-0 as they still have yet to register their first win of the season, which is unfortunate as they are sitting at 12th place in the Western Conference, which straight up sucks, but hey, what can you do? So, this Saturday, or tomorrow, the Galaxy will host Seattle, which actually sits at second in the Western Conference. So that's going to be a very tough matchup, but you basically have to remember, the Galaxy and what's-their-face? The Galaxy and the Sounders are kind of rivals. I know the Galaxy and LAFC have El Tráfico, but it's like, you never know with these rivalry matchups. But I think it's safe to say Seattle's probably going to pound the daylight out of the Galaxy, especially if Jonathan Klinsmann is not going to be able to go. So we'll see what happens, but it is going to be at StubHub. Oh, no, it's not at StubHub Center. It's at Dignity Health Sports Park. I cannot be saying these old stadium names. I gotta get into the habit of saying the new stadium names. Dignity Health Sports Park, not the StubHub Center. I gotta train my mind to not say that old saying. So yeah, it's gonna be at Dignity Health Sports Park. So it's gonna be tough for the Galaxy to win that matchup, and then they also have the Houston Dynamo next week. But that's basically how, and Houston's actually won a couple in a row, as that's going to be, they beat New York City FC 1-0 last week, and they beat Austin the week before 2-0. So the Galaxy have got to step their game up ASAP. Like, there's no better way to say it. So they got, but it's still a long season, but they better hope that Jonathan Klinsmann isn't out for a long period of time. Otherwise, they're going to be behind the 8 ball further and further and further. Because it's looking like the entire league is going to be out to get them. Because in this league, it's basically weed out the weak. It's only the strong survive. And by the way that it's looking like it's looking like the Galaxy are about to be weeded out because their goalie could be hurt, and the Galaxy are just not putting up the goals, and they're just not doing well against some of these other teams. Like, they looked so bad against Dallas FC, and they just haven't been putting up the greatest results against some of these other teams, like Sporting KC, which has also yet to post a win, and then they also were unable to beat Portland, which... And then they also had their chances against Vancouver, but were unable to do so. So, like, they had a whole second half to try to beat Vancouver, but was unfortunately unable to do so. I should also give a shout out to Kelvin Leerdam, who scored his first MLS goal since 2020, which, hats off to him. But that's that for the LA Galaxy. To LAFC, who is the complete exact opposite of the Galaxy, as they've actually they're undefeated, even though they've played fewer games than practically everyone else. Thanks, Mother Nature. So they beat Dallas FC last Saturday 2-1. So that's good news for LAFC. They are in third place, but that's only because El Tráfico in Week 1 got rained out, and now they are behind the 8 ball from everyone else. So tomorrow, LAFC has to travel to Colorado to take on the Rapids, which the Rapids are actually dead last in the Western Conference. They, just like the Galaxy, the Whitecaps, and Sporting KC, have yet to register a win. I would not underestimate Colorado, just because I think that was what happened last year with Colorado or the Galaxy, and then they wound up paying the price. It happened with one of the teams that the Galaxy or LAFC played, and then they wound up losing, and it was downright embarrassing. So if I were LAFC, I would not look at the records, and I would just go out there and just continue to boost that record, just because you want to keep pace with Seattle and St. Louis, because Seattle was the only team that has kind of handed their only true, I wouldn't say blemish, but it was kind of the only non-win, just because the Galaxy, or no, I'm sorry, not the I keep mixing up Portland and Seattle. Portland was the team that no. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm mixing up my Seattle team. Seattle was the only team that handed LAFC the tie. Seattle was the only team that handed Seattle was the only team that handed LAFC the tie. My apologies. So yeah, Seattle was the only team that handed LAFC its only tie, and then Seattle also wound up losing to someone else. But we're not caring about Seattle. We're caring about LAFC, which has only played 4 matches just because, well, El Tráfico got postponed. Anyway, over to Colorado. Yeah, they've got that match. They also have a match on Thursday in the CONCACAF tournament where they play Vancouver. Now, CONCACAF has no effect on MLS, but it's always a great tournament to play in. They've got the first leg against Vancouver, but again, it's not going to affect the MLS record. The first leg is on Wednesday, the 5th at 7 p.m. They will be playing this game in Vancouver. They'll be playing at Vancouver, Canada. And then the second leg will be played at the Bank of California Stadium in Los Angeles. So I guess they take turns on where the games will be played, just because they want to have fair home field advantage. See, I know a little soccer. I'm not the biggest soccer expert, but it's like, I guess the CONCACAF wants to have like fair home field advantage, just so Vancouver doesn't want to have 2 home field games, and then LAFC doesn't want to have 2 home field games, just because that wouldn't be fair for the two teams. But anyway, after the match against Colorado, LAFC is back in MLS action on the 8th when they host Austin FC. Now, Austin FC, looking at the standings, they are in 6th place, which they're kind of in striking distance, but they're kind of not. But like I said, LAFC just cannot underestimate some of these other Western Conference teams. Like, Dallas was actually doing pretty good, but still fairly early. Like, everyone is, like, it's so surprising that St. Louis is actually doing really good. St. Louis City SC is doing really good. But what I really don't want to hear is, I don't want to hear everybody saying St. Louis is going to go 36-0. It's a long season. You can't say that they're going to go 36-0. Because you've got draws that could occur. You've got losses that could occur. It's like, I don't mean to burst the bubble of St. Louis fans out there, but it's like, you've got LAFC that you have to play. You also have to play Seattle, and then you never know with some of these other teams. Losses could occur at any single moment, or ties could occur at any single moment. Again, I'm no soccer expert, but my goodness, y'all, like, pump the brakes when you say St. Louis is going to go 36-0. Excuse me a second. Sorry, my voice was getting a little bit of a frog, but I'm good. Anyway, so LAFC is in the quarterfinals of that CONCACAF tournament when they play Vancouver, and whoever has the best goal differential in terms of the legs between them and Vancouver advances to the semifinals, and then I imagine, I don't know how it works in terms of like semifinals. I don't know if they're going to have like, if it's just going to be like, if they're going to have like the legs in terms of like the semifinals, or if they're just going to go one round of the semifinals, and then whoever wins that round goes to the final of the CONCACAF tournament, and then whoever wins the CONCACAF finals basically is the CONCACAF winner. Who knows? But all I could pretty much say is good luck to LAFC. If they win the CONCACAF tournament, awesome. But if they don't win the CONCACAF tournament, then they don't need to hang their heads entirely. I just think that LAFC, it's just like something to like keep them going. But the CONCACAF tournament also could be something that could tire them out come match day in terms of the MLS. Like, for instance, like they've got the Saturday match against Colorado, and they've got the Wednesday match against Vancouver, and then they've got the Saturday match against Austin, and then they've got the Tuesday match against Vancouver. They've got 2 days of rest for Vancouver when they host Vancouver, and then they've got El Tráfico on the 16th, so they've got quite a number of matches before. Well, by the way, that El Tráfico match on the 16th is kind of the. That's going to be on a Sunday, and that's going to be hosted by the Galaxy. And when I saw that match last year on ESPN, man, that was quite the eventful match. That was kind of the first ever El Tráfico match that I saw with sound. One time I saw an El Tráfico match muted because I called that game on Mixlr, but it was quite the eventful match, to say the least. That's an understatement, but it was an eventful El Tráfico match. But then again, it's a rivalry match. What can you expect? Anyway, that's enough out of LAFC. I think I've rambled on quite a bit about LAFC and LA Galaxy. More so LAFC just because they're so far Big Brother, even though the Galaxy have more banners, but I digress. Anyway, moving on to... Actually, let's move on to NWSL, as San Diego Wave FC and Los Angeles just kicked off their season, as they both have their first game in the books, as San Diego was able to earn their first win of the season, as They managed to beat Chicago last Saturday 3-2. It was actually a high-scoring game in the first half, as it was 2-2. Chicago scored the first goal in the 18th minute, but then Amira Ali scored in the 22nd minute, and then Jaden Shaw scored 10 minutes after that, and then Chicago scored 4 minutes after the 45th minute via a penalty kick. Then Alex Morgan, everyone's favorite women's soccer player, scored a penalty kick in the 89th minute, and that was how San Diego won. They wound up winning 3-2, and they won it in Snapdragon Stadium via a whopping 30,834 in attendance. So that was awesome sauce, and that was a great win for San Diego. The Wave FC will be back at it this Saturday when they host North Carolina, and then they won't be back for another week until the 15th when they hit the road to take on OL Reign. So that's some good stuff right there. And then after that, they'll be playing Portland in group stage play, and I guess a tournament. So that's some good stuff right there. As for Los Angeles, aka Angel City FC, they unfortunately had a rough season opener against Gotham, aka New Jersey, New York. Everyone just calls them Gotham. They lost 2-1. However, their first goal came in the 11th minute, courtesy of Alyssa Thompson, who is actually only 18 years old, and she's only a high schooler who comes out of one high school from Harvard Westlake. So I don't even think she's graduated from Harvard Westlake. She might have graduated early, but she is only 18 years old, and the girl managed to score a goal. That's just amazing right there. Just absolutely outstanding. So the fact that she is already scoring goals is just awe-inspiring. So congratulations to Alyssa Thompson on scoring that goal. Her first goal of what should be quite a good amount. But unfortunately for Angel City FC, Gotham scored a penalty kick in the 55th minute, and then they scored 10 minutes after that, and then Angel City FC just could not get that equalizer. I think they actually did score sometime down the road after, I think in the first half, but then it was taken away courtesy of VAR. So unfortunately for Angel City FC, that was kind of how they wound up losing. So it was a tough loss for Angel City FC, but it shows that their future is bright. Unfortunately, I just wish they could have won that game. It just sucked that their first win, the first goal for Alyssa Thompson had to have been spoiled because of a loss. But hey, Angel City will improve. So the next game for Angel City will be this Sunday when they hit the road to take on Orlando. After that, they won't be back at it until the 15th when they host Louisville at the Bank of California Stadium. And then they've got group stage play after that when they play OL Reign, so we'll see after that. And then I guess they also play San Diego, and then they've got Portland as well, so we'll see. Alright, so that's that for the NWSL. I'll give the Big W award while I'm at it to Alyssa Thompson, just because she's only 18 and she is scoring goals. This girl is going to be something special, and she was also on the U.S. national team, so our future is looking bright. So I can't wait for what she can do for Angel City FC and for the United States national team. Anyway, going on into the NHL, do I really got to talk about the Ducks? I guess I should. They're eliminated from playoff contention, but why not? They lost to the Kraken 4-1 last night. They lost to the Colorado Avalanche 5-1, and then last Saturday they lost to the St. Louis Blues 6-3. And then tonight, do they even have any games remaining in the month of March? No. They're back at tomorrow when they head down to Edmonton to take on the Oilers. Then on Sunday, they've got the Calgary Flames. Wednesday, they play on national TV on TNT against the Edmonton Oilers at the Honda Center. I almost called it Arrowhead Pond, but again, it's called Honda Center. And then next Saturday, they are at the Arizona Coyotes. The season's almost over, and then they're back on TNT again when they play the Colorado Avalanche at home. And I'll save the I guess I might as well just say their last two games. They play the Vancouver Canucks on Tuesday the 11th, and then Thursday the 13th they host the LA Kings. I don't even think the Ducks have won the Freeway Series, or not the Freeway Series, the Freeway Face-Off. It's a shame, but what the Ducks can do is help out the LA Kings, just because Edmonton has actually moved ahead of the Kings, which is actually a good segue to go into the LA Kings, as the Kings have actually fallen behind the Edmonton Oilers, and they lost to the Oilers last night 2-0, and they lost to the Calgary Flames 2-1, so they've lost their last two, so yikes. And then on Sunday, the LA Kings honored the Los Angeles Rams and all of St. Louis by beating the St. Louis Blues 7-6. In other words, they scored a touchdown and proved that Los Angeles belongs to the Rams and not St. Louis. I'm just kidding, St. Louis. I'm not trying to diss you or anything. Anyway, and then on Saturday, the Kings beat the Winnipeg Jets 4-1. So, jumping on over to the month of April, might as well just go over all of the Kings' remaining games. So, tomorrow, the Kings hit the road to the Emerald City to take on Seattle. Sunday, the Kings head on down to Vancouver to take on the Canucks. Tuesday, huge game right here. The Kings host the Edmonton Oilers, which is probably the most crucial game right there, just because if the Kings want to pretty much improve their chances of, I wouldn't say making the playoffs, but I would say probably finishing ahead of Edmonton in the division, I would probably say win this game. And then Thursday, another big game right here. The Kings travel to Sin City to take on the Vegas Golden Knights. And then next Saturday, the Kings host the Colorado Avalanche. Monday, the 10th of April, the Kings host the Vancouver Canucks. And then Thursday, like I said, the Ducks host the Kings, or the Kings are at the Anaheim Ducks. So we'll see what happens with the Kings. But the Kings should be a lock for the playoffs, as I highly doubt Calgary pretty much overtakes the LA Kings. Now, the Seattle Kraken could overtake the Kings, but there's no way that happens. Like, the only way that happens is if the Kings just lose out and then Calgary wins out. But I just don't see that happening. But we'll see what happens. Like, the Kings are actually only 3 games behind the Golden Knights for first place in the Pacific Division, and they're only one game back of the Edmonton Oilers for second place in the Pacific Division. So that race is getting quite tight. So we'll see what happens in the whatchamacallit in that division, and we'll see what happens when it comes to that in the Western Conference race. So should be quite fun, as the Anaheim Ducks are the second worst team in the Western Conference. I hate to bring that up. And then the Anaheim Ducks are the third worst team in the league, ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Chicago Blackhawks. So there's that right there. Alright, so that is that for the NHL. Before I move on to Dum Dum of the Week, I do need to make note of this big news, as Deuce Robinson, who is a big-time tight end at a Arizona high school. I actually forgot the name of this Arizona high school, but Deuce Robinson was a big-time name at big-time target, 5-star tight end. He actually committed to USC yesterday, and he is a huge name, and he committed to USC over Georgia, and that's a huge commit. Now, I'm not sure. Now, tight end obviously isn't the biggest priority for USC. Obviously, defense is, but getting Deuce Robinson was a big wish list on my part. I really wanted Deuce Robinson to commit to USC. I was like, please get Deuce Robinson USC. I don't know if that's his, if that's how his first name is pronounced, but I'm pretty sure that's how it is. That's how it's pronounced. Either way, Deuce Robinson is a USC Trojan, and I'm so happy. Like, I could literally cry right now. Heck, USC is really killing it in the committing game, and they're killing it so big that they're even getting praise from one Nick Saban, and Nick Saban said, and I quote, "The biggest competition to our recruiting game, USC. Lincoln Riley is killing it over there." And Nick Saban gets my big W of the week, another big W award for me. Now, I know everyone here hates Nick Saban, but you got to respect what he kind of says and does. Like, Nick Saban, while everyone likes to call him Bill Belichick 2.0, the dude, I give him respect for what he says about USC and Lincoln Riley. Like, and the dude always does and says what he gives the team, he gives people their due and respect. And for him to basically say what he said about Lincoln Riley, that takes a lot of guts, and I respect him for that. Like, for him to say what he said about USC, and for him to basically say that Lincoln Riley is killing it over there, it's very impressive, and I'm really happy that he said that Lincoln Riley is killing it, and I'm glad he acknowledges that USC is a threat to Alabama's recruiting, just because USC is getting some big-time recruits, and heck, you never know with what Lincoln Riley and USC could do come the future, because I really think USC can become something good. It's just all about what Lincoln Riley and the whole culture change can bring. Just because one coach can really open the eyes of so many recruits, and so many other coaches can also open the eyes of so many recruits. But we'll see what happens, and I really just like what Nick Saban said about Lincoln Riley and USC. Like, I respect him for that. I mean, yes, everyone hates Alabama just because they're just so darn good, but Nick Saban, he doesn't take any BS for that, and I respect him for that. So, congratulations to Nick Saban, you get the big W award. Alright, now let's give out the Dum Dum of the Week award. So, the Dum Dum of the Week award is basically an award I like to give out to someone I think is deserving of the award. It could go out to an organization or someone that I think is deserving of the award. So I'm actually accepting requests on who you think Dum Dum of the Week award should be, and be realistic. Don't be something that don't be inappropriate. But if you think someone is deserving of Dum Dum of the Week, just let me know via Twitter, or like some of my teammates actually recommended Rob Manfred for Dum Dum of the Week just because he has opening day for March, which I kind of agree, but it's like, why though? It's like, did he used to have it in February or something like that? Like, make it make sense. So I did have this request from one Adam Karnick. So Rob Manfred gets the mini Dum Dum of the Week. So I have two mini Dum Dums of the Week to give out, and then I also have the other Dum Dum of the Week two Dum Dums of the Week to give out. So the first mini dum-dum of the week goes out to Rob Manfred. So apparently the Chicago Cubs had to play at Wrigley Stadium in 29-degree weather, and apparently yesterday there was snow and rain yesterday, and 29-degree weather isn't really baseball weather. So Rob Manfred did not do anything about it. He didn't postpone the series, or he didn't do anything about it, which is not really smart of him. Fortunately, it didn't the series didn't get postponed, or there wasn't a delay or anything like that. The Chicago Cubs were able to complete their game, but I don't really approve of what Rob Manfred basically didn't like over. Basically, I didn't like of what Rob Manfred ignoring that little 29-degree weather thing. Now, I know Mother Nature can come and go as she pleases, but it's you gotta keep an eye on these things, dude. And I know Rob Manfred is not really the best commissioner in the MLB, but it's man, you gotta be some sort of blind to miss that sort of thing. So I'm keeping my eye on you, Rob Manfred. If you keep this up, you're going to be on Dum Dum of the Week more often than not, so don't be screwing up every now and then. So you're the mini Dum Dum of the Week. So the second mini Dum Dum of the Week goes out to me, and let's just say I screwed up on Monday. And it's nothing too big, but I accidentally messed up the title of my show on set point. So I was supposed to put Down Goes Number 1 for the second straight week, but instead I put down. I forgot to put Goes. Instead I put Down for the second. Down number 1 for the second straight week. I forgot to put Goes, so I put Down number 1 for the second straight week. So I take a lot of pride in putting in set points. So for the fact that I messed up on my show title is completely unacceptable. So I gotta take the mini Dum Dum of the Week. I know everyone accidentally messes up on a lot of things, but it's I take a lot of pride in set points, so I gotta learn to be careful when it comes to doing my show titles, doing my show description. The show description isn't bad, but the show title is what really hurts the most. So I'll take the mini Dum Dum of the Week on that one. I gotta be careful when it comes to my show titles, just because that eventually gets saved to Spreaker, and then when that gets saved to Spreaker, the screen pops up, and then that gets saved as the original show title. So yeah. Alright, so now comes the actual Dum Dum of the Week. So I've got 2 Dum Dums of the Week to give out. So when it comes to sporting events, you know not to go out onto the field or the court or any competition's field of play. Well, someone did not get the memo on that one. So last night there was the Dodgers were playing, and there was a guy in the Mookie Betts jersey, and apparently he had this crazy idea. So proposals always happen in several different ways. It happens via the Jumbotron. It happens after games. It can happen before games. It can happen via super strange, crazy events. But this dude decided to hop over the fence, I want to say during the intermission, in the middle or the end of the inning, and he decided to propose to his girlfriend, and let's just say that didn't really go as planned. As, well, for starters, he proposed, but let's just say security came out of nowhere and straight up tackled him. I saw the video at first, and I'm like, oh no. And then I saw the video, and it looked like his spirit just came straight out of his body for a split second. And then he eventually, just like all people who go onto the field, he got arrested, and I guess he got taken in, and he got fined and whatnot. So the dude basically got what was coming to him. But the good thing that did come out of it was that the girlfriend said yes. But the moral of the story is, don't go onto the field and do anything as stupid or dumb like that. Otherwise, that's going to happen. So, to the guy that proposed to his girlfriend by going out onto the baseball field, I'm glad your girlfriend said yes, but you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week award. You get the Dum Dum of the Week just because you proposed by doing that sort of thing.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
So that's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 1. Now for Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 2. Alright, so remember when I said that certain things cannot be combined? There was that one time where I told y'all about how mozzarella cheese, pickles, and bacon bits should not be on pizza. Oh, I think I found something that topped this. So, I saw this on Twitter where cup noodles... Okay, I'm not really the biggest noodles guys. I like noodles, especially if there's like nothing around my house. I will make it and then I will just eat that. I'll eat that stuff up. I almost said the bad word. But Cup of Noodles came out with a new noodles flavor. Now, I like noodles and I like ramen, but Cup of Noodles released a new noodles flavor. Get this, everybody. So Cup of Noodles released a new noodles flavor. They released a new noodles flavor, breakfast ramen flavored like... So get this. Breakfast ramen tasting with pancakes, sausage, and eggs flavored like maple syrup. Okay, I've heard of egg noodles before, but pancakes, sausage, and eggs flavored like maple syrup. At first I thought this was a joke, but what in the world is this? This is the most disgusting thing I have ever laid eyes on. I almost wanted... I thought at first this was a joke, but this was released by KABC. It's like, ew. This is so gross, dude. Now, I know you don't knock it before you try it, but it's like, who wants to try this? It's like artificially flavored as maple syrup, pancakes, sausage, and egg? Yuck! You don't. There are some things you can't combine, and this is it! Yuck! I'm going to actually pull this and with my iSports Radio family, and hopefully they all get back to me, or most of them get back to me, and if I get the numbers of if this is compatible with one another, if this artificial flavoring is good with one another as noodles, I will retract this Dum Dum of the Week, and I'll give myself the Dum Dum of the Week in 2 more weeks. But I can already tell you, this does not belong together. This cannot be artificially flavored with noodles. I understand you don't knock things till you try it, but this is not good. I can tell this is not good. Like, I just don't have the words for this. Like, I understand egg noodles, but it's like sausage, pancakes, and maple syrup with egg noodles? Artificially flavored? Yuck! Oh, and I think my stomach is already disagreeing with me already. So, Cup of Noodles, I don't mean to say this, but there are some things you can't combine, and this is one of them. So, you're this week's Dum Dum of the Week award by a landslide.
So dumb.
Wait. Talk to them again, my man. Talk to them again.
Dumb. For real. You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Next thing you know, we're going to be seeing peanut butter and jelly on cheeseburgers. On second thought, never mind. But on that note, before I lose my mind or I lose my whatever I had, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time to get on out of here, because I don't want to lose my lunch on air. You dig? Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I really do appreciate you. Shout out to the chat room, Larry B., my brother, Adam Kark, and Mike Pat, who popped in, as well as Patty Bax, who was listening while she was at work. I really do appreciate you. Like I said throughout the entire show, I will not be here next week. I will be at Long Beach City College for the first week of the 2023 NBA season. If you're there, do definitely say hi to me, as Set Point will also be on at 11:15 a.m. Pacific time on Monday, so definitely do check that out. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the sports action, even if you're an Angels fan. And just be safe, and just take care of your body, just because it is flu season. And one more thing, let's go San Diego State men's basketball. You've got a national championship to win and a Final Four to get past. Let's go, baby. SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!